sound okay with you?
Sounds good. Let's go.
Yeah.
You gotta check it out. We're gonna be having some real funny stuff. This is our funniest episode yet. And hey, this show gonna be fire. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the long-awaited edition of the Good and Terrible Show. It is our comeback episode.
Y'all.
Just to quickly explain, we didn't forget about y'all. We just really be busy. We both adults. We be adulting. We got stuff going on. A lot of stuff's been happening, but we ain't forget about y'all who want to hear the show, who want to see the show. We are back. My name is Travis. Her name is Mickey. We have a great episode for y'all to return back to y'all screens today. We're going to be doing the top 10 best castings. And when I say that, it means the top 10 best actors and actresses cast for TV shows. So we're just doing TV shows today. We're excluding the movies. Well, that might be another episode. But today, the 10 best picks or 10 best people that we picked that we think are the best selections to play a particular character in a TV show of all time. All right. So just to give you a little background, we kind of left the criteria open. We didn't have a specific genre. It could be comedy, it could be, sitcom, it could be, action show, it could be a drama, whatever it is. We, as long as it's on TV, it counts. What we're going to do is we're going to each run through our top 10. We have our own list. We did not, divulge the information to each other. We don't know who's on each other's list. I'm going to give you my 10 through 6. And then, Mickey's going to go ahead and give you her 10 through 6. And then we're going to get into the top 5s. Okay. So without further ado, what I want to do is go into my number 10 for who I think is the best casting choice, the number 10 best casting choice of all time. And that is none other than, wait a minute. Where is he?
Hello.
Just so you know, I have I chose photos for each individual one, and for some
that's
reason,
why I was like, I ain't got that.
But anyway, look, it's Carlton Banks. Okay, it's Alfonso Ribeiro for Carlton Banks. Okay, I think this guy was the perfect choice to do for that show, and the reason why is because this guy literally embodied that role. I don't think there's anybody else out there who could have played Carlton better than he did. I think that he really put his stamp on it. I don't think the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air would have been as successful as it was without Alfonso Ribeiro. If they had a different actor playing him, I don't think it would have gone as far. I think he brought the perfect level of the alternative black to he was the perfect man for that role. He kind of brought a lot of comedic relief to it whenever they had more serious scenes, and he even got it into some serious ones himself, the episode where they they had him doing drugs, or the episode where Will had gotten shot, and different things like that. Alfonso Ribeiro did a heck of a job keeping up with that. You know what I mean? I think he bodied that role, right?
Definitely.
Now, number 9 that we're going to get into here, my 9 best choice is actually Terry Crews for Julius Rock.
That's a good one.
Everybody Hates Chris. For anybody who hasn't seen this show, Terry Crews played the father, Julius, and absolutely killed it. He was known for being the cheapskate, and I picked him just because I don't think I think he's probably had the most quotables of any character on that show. I think, over more than 10 years since that show's been on the air, and I feel like, whenever I feel myself trying to put myself in a budget, I think what would Julius do? You know what I mean?
Julius would unclog the alarm clock because you can't tell time while you're sleeping. I was like, but how would you wake up if the alarm clock is turned off? But then it made sense. You're really not reading the time, but I mean, aren't you going to be late? Huh?
Anytime that you feel like wasting food, Terry will be there for you. Terry will be there for any time you feel like you're being a little bit wasteful. That's 37 cents for the green beans. He's gonna be
You better
there
eat
every
them green
single time.
beans. Right.
Every single time. Okay. Oh wait. Oh, hold on a second. Did I just discover something? Oh no, I did not. Thought I did, but I didn't. Okay. Now, the number 8 selection for the top 10 is actually going to be Jake Peralta. This is actually from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Andy Samberg, if you guys are unfamiliar with that.
Oh.
One of my favorite shows to come out of the last 10 years. I think there was a fall off, after maybe the mid 2000s when it came to sitcoms, and I feel like Brooklyn Nine-Nine was one of those shows that kept it going. I think the show was amazing. I think it's one of the funniest shows that's ever been put. One of the best casting choices, period, that I think people have ever seen on TV. So I honestly could have put the whole cast for number 8 right here. I think the guy that plays Captain Holt, Andre Broward, was amazing. Terry Crews was
Okay, I
also
know
in
the
that show.
captain. Yeah.
The woman that plays Rosa, Stephanie Beatrice, she did a great job. The guy that plays Boyle, everybody on this show is awesome at this job. But I had to specifically pick Andy Samberg, who you guys might know from Saturday Night Live if you watch that.
Mm-hmm.
He plays Jake Peralta. He's the comedic timing that the guy has is top tier. I think if you haven't seen this show, it's going to instantly make you a fan after season 1.
Yeah, I've seen pieces of it, like little clips, and it was funny, even just the clips. But yeah, I have to watch it because I haven't heard this much about it. Anybody really talk about it? Not currently, anyway. Like you said,
this is how good the show was. I think it was after season 4 or so. Fox was actually going to cancel. It was on Fox. It started off on Fox. They were actually going to cancel it. The fans got so upset that Fox was going to cancel it. Literally, like 32 hours after they made the announcement that they were canceling the show, NBC picked it up and brought the show back because the fans were that upset. Like, I'm talking about everyday fans and celebrities. Like, they took to Twitter, outrage that this show was being canceled. They brought the show back, and it remained on NBC for another like 5 years after that. So
wow,
it's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. Or 4 years, however long it was. The show literally half its tenure was on a different station because of that reason. And Mickey's gonna put up pictures of each character, on the screen here so you guys can see who we're talking about here. In post. Number 7 is actually Sheldon Cooper. I don't know if anybody here has seen The Big Bang Theory, but when I tell you this is probably one of the hardest roles I think I've ever seen people play on TV. I know if I was an actor, I couldn't do this myself. The guy's name is Jim Parsons. One of the best acting jobs I think I've ever seen on a sitcom. He plays a theoretical physicist who plays probably one of the weirdest guys ever on TV, but he just does such a good thing about it. He's just so believable. When you see him, like outside of the show, you immediately think Sheldon Cooper. Like it's almost to the point where he played the role so well, I can't even see him playing another role.
He can't do anything else now.
He can't do anything. He's forever going to be Sheldon Cooper.
Yeah.
Like people don't even know his name is Jim. You see him, you're like, oh, that's Sheldon.
I never knew his name.
See, look.
I didn't watch the show like that. I've again in passing like seen it on. I'm a nerd, but it's a little bit too nerdy for me, for my taste.
It's very nerdy, but
it's like above my pay grade of nerdy. So I'm like, yeah, no, and it's But I will agree. His character is the one that I always remember. He always sticks out. Like everybody knows who Sheldon is from.
You cannot have that show. Literally everybody that I'm naming here are people that I feel like are essential to a show where this show would not work without them.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably the biggest example of that on my whole list, to be honest. You literally cannot have Big Bang Theory without Sheldon Cooper. He's like the driving force of the whole show. I'll be completely honest. I had to Google his name real quick, the actual actor's name. He's Sheldon Cooper. It's Jim Parsons, but that's Sheldon Cooper.
That's funny.
Okay, and then number 6, before we get into Mickey's list here, the last one that I'm gonna pick for number 6 Tashina Arnold as Pam from
I
Martin.
can hate you, bro. I hate you.
Tashina Arnold plays that role so well. She's been on a bunch of different things. She's also been on Everybody Hates Chris, but the iconic role she's known for is playing Pam from Martin. You know what? She played the role so well. They said the name Pam so much, I don't even remember what Pam's last name was. It's just Pam.
It's Pamela James. Her name was
Pamela James. Thank you so much.
Real Martin fans, as you can see, knows her first.
I was gonna say you might see the Martin background and Mickey's screen over there. I've seen every episode of Martin, but Pam is definitely a standout. I think she was the perfect choice to go back and forth with Martin. I think the roasting battles that they had together makes for some of the best comedy on in TV history, on screen history.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. Like they would the funniest scenes are always, especially like, of course, the iconic one when they had the when somebody stole Martin's CD player and he redid the
crime scene with the dog.
New Jack City scene, Wesley Snipes scene. And you could see that all of them wanted to laugh and they had like even Pam had to like put her head. Those were the scenes that like it made it funnier because they're in character, but something has to be that funny for you to break and like for a second, like are you like trying to hold it?
Breaking character, You know what? I almost chose Cole. I almost chose Cole for the show instead.
Yeah.
But when I thought about it, I was like, the clear-cut choice, the best casting decision that they made outside of Martin himself was probably casting Tashina as Pam. When you think about, and the reason why I chose her is because all the funniest scenes, the most iconic scenes from Martin, her and Martin are like right at the center of those, right? When they had like the puppy at the island.
Yeah.
When
Island.
Yes, get Chilligan's Island. Martin and Pam beat the hell out that puppy.
They uppercutted
several times. You had the New Jack City scene. You had the scene where like they were at the art gallery and she got hypnotized and turned into Martin. It's pure comedy gold. The scenes that she had in the hallway all the time with Shanae when she had to sing like Old MacDonald up against the wall.
Yes.
Tashina's just the
when she had to work they had to work in Shanae's shop because they lost the cookie tickets. Again, because it's Martin as a character, but those two together, they played off each other perfectly. Like perfectly.
You couldn't have cast a better Pamela James.
Yeah.
With that, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to Mickey. Stay tuned for my top 5. It's gonna be real. Watch.
Yeah. So I have for number 10, and mine is not necessarily in like a perfect order. But I don't want people like, oh, why you playing number 10? My number 10 is Wendy Raquel Robinson from The Game, who was Tasha Mac. Tasha Mac, to me, because I used to watch The Game, I did not watch after Poochall left because I was just like, that's not for me. Not a dig to them, but I just kind of fell off of it. But Tasha Mac, to me, her and Jason, who was another kind of like how Terry Crews' character was penny pinching, like Mr. Krabs. Terry Crews, Mr. Krabs, and Jason's character are all like super cheap. And Jason was rich. Like Jason was a rich football player. He played on the same team as Tasha Mac, and he didn't want to spend money on anything, cutting off lights and everything. So Tasha Mac is my number 10. Number 9 for me was Tashina Arnold as Chris Rock's mom. I don't remember his mom's first name on the show, but Tashina Arnold was my number 9 from Everybody Hates Chris. And her and Terry Crews as parents, to me, I believe, in my mind, like if I saw them, like, yes, they're a couple, they're parents. But Tashina Arnold, just like you said about Martin, she is, to me, one of the actresses that you'll see and stuff, but she just slides right in. Like I've never seen her in a role that she does not nail. And I've never seen her do something I'm like, that's not believable. She like digs deep into the role. And one of the things I remember from her being on Everybody Hates Chris, she loved the turtles, the turtle candy that was like chocolate covered. And somebody ate her mother, who was Loretta Devine played her mom. And her mother would bump heads because Loretta Devine was like really opinionated. Her mother ate her turtles while she was visiting, and she flipped out. And she was like, "Everybody get out!" But it was so believable. Like, yo, we gonna, you gonna get in trouble. So Tashina Arnold knocked that out. My number 8 is
Wait, real quick, just to add
yeah.
something for that one. I think literally like the moment that it made me. I love Tashina Arnold more as Pam than I did in Everybody Loves Chris or Everybody Hates
yeah,
Chris.
of course.
But the thing that made me love her character in Everybody Hates Chris, I think it might have been even the very first episode where she literally like busts in the door of Chris's room and she said, "Chris, get in here and wipe the pee off the toilet seat." And I was
then
like,
left the door open with the light on. Like, you're going to get up
with the light up. Like, if that wasn't the most
That's
black motherist thing I've ever seen in my entire life, that was nailed it.
Because they know black mamas don't care what you do. You could be at school. Come home right now and make this bed and wipe this pee.
And they don't knock.
Why would they knock? It's their house. They're not knocking.
See, look.
Black mamas don't knock. They open up the door. What you doing? Oh, that's so funny. And they don't knock. They don't. My number 8 is Ice-T from Law and Order SVU, and a lot of people are gonna laugh, but Ice-T and his character's name, which I've never heard them say his first name, is Odafin, and last name I think it's pronounced Totola. They all, they call the officers call each other by their last name, but people make fun of, and I've seen it, and I've seen people make jokes like it is true. Ice-T literally just says, "What's going on? Who died? They don't know what happened," and he leaves. That's normally what he does. He'll come back within the episode. He's like, to me, the reason why I picked him, he's perfect for that role, but he serves a purpose and he nails it. He don't have to be having 20, 30 lines. He don't need all that. He coming in, hey, 11:42, suspect killed. We don't know what's going on. And then he just leaves. He just walks out. And you're just like, this man is getting paid millions of dollars that's why I'm like, it's the greatest to me. That's why I love it so much. I'm like, this black man is getting millions of dollars to just say 3 or 4 lines and people clown him. It's like, how can you clown? He's finessing the system. He don't have to memorize it.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he's actually now played a cop on TV longer than anybody else in history.
Is that true? Really?
I think it's either by black actors or in general. It's one of them. He set a record. I don't remember which one it was.
He's on every episode. Even if it's just 1 or 2 lines, he's on there. So,
which is hilarious because he started his career, a lot of people don't know, as a rapper.
Exactly.
He literally was talking about he made a song called Cop Killer.
Mm-hmm.
He played a cop.
I was gonna mention that too. Like him, Ice-T is 20-year-old Ice-T versus 40-year-old Ice-T would be like, what the hell? You playing the cop? We hate them. It's like, hey, I'm getting this money, okay? Let me play whoever. But that's why it's so ironic and it's so funny because our generation knows he was a rapper, but new generation is like, oh, it's just Ice-T. But they don't know Ice-T was a gangster rapper, like, 90s. They didn't like police. So that was my number 8. My number 7 is John Witherspoon, God bless the dead, as Granddad from the Boondocks.
I didn't even think about cartoons.
Oh, it had to, because the Boondocks is probably my top 3 of shows that I watched consistently, reruns everything. And Granddad, when he passed away, I was so sad because he had came to DC and something told me to try to get the tickets were on sale, but like stuff happened. I just kind of forgot about it. And he literally passed that winter. And I was like, man, I wish I would have been able to see him. But if you've never seen Boondocks before, I need you to get HBO Max and watch it. Number 2, there is no one, even if they decide to continue with the show, there's no one that could replace John Witherspoon as Granddad. His voice, and to me, animated shows sometimes can be tough to cast, I feel like, because the character has to just use their voice, but you have to still envision them, into that character. And Granddad was great. Him taking his belt off and and chasing them. I can see Granddad doing that. And because, for those that don't know, John Witherspoon played Pop on the Wayans Brothers. He was the dad from all the Fridays, Friday After Next, First Friday. That's John Witherspoon. So, and
Boomerang too, right?
And Boomerang, yes, he was. He was David Allen Greer's father, Boomerang. He had the mushroom shirt, the mushroom belt.
He had to coordinate.
He had to coordinate. So Pop's his persona, and to me as granddad was like he was the perfect role. Am I doing my number 6 or are we stopping?
Yeah, do your number 6.
Okay, number 6 is Jason B, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, from Chicago PD as Lieutenant Hank Boyd. This dude is him as a lieutenant. He to me embodies a lieutenant. He's got the raspy voice. He's wearing the Wrangler jeans. He doesn't really talk too much. He gonna say a couple words, and like he means business. And the reason why I love him so much is because in every episode, again, I can see. Of course, he's playing a character, but I forget I'm watching the show. I forget I'm watching, Chicago PD. He's into the role. And he has like the perfect like raspy voice. And in the show, as the character that he plays, he's one of those cops that have to bend the law a little bit, but he doesn't break it. And that's why I really like his character. Because of course they're in Chicago, which is a high crime area, and it's current. We talk about now, so a lot of stuff that may have happened in Chicago is happening. They're addressing on the show. And even when they had the Black Lives Matter, they had an episode that kind of touched on it. As a character, he was able to speak from both his side as a cop and then understood one of the characters, LaVoice Hawkins, his side, because LaVoice is Black. So to me, he just knocks out the park. I've never seen him in anything else. But in my mind, he's typecast. Like you said, Ice-T's been the longest cop. He's always a cop in my head. So if he's like playing like a TV dad, I'm like, he shoots people because you were a cop yesterday. So
I'll take your word for that one because I've never seen an episode of that show.
Oh, you should watch it. Chicago PD is a great show. Great.
I don't watch a whole lot of cop shows. I feel like it's just not my genre. Yeah, except for Brooklyn Nine-Nine, obviously, because I mean it's a comedy.
It's
yeah. But I mean, I'll take your word
Chicago
for it.
PD, Chicago PD is lit as a drama, so check it out. Yeah, y'all check it out too.
And now we're gonna get into our top 5s, ladies and gentlemen. This is the cream of the crop, the best selections that casting directors have ever made on TV for who to choose for certain roles, right? And to kick it off, my number 5 is Maxine Shaw, attorney at law.
Oh, I forgot about her.
Because Erica Alexander, and again, this whole cast was phenomenal, right? So the guy that played Overton Wakefield Jones, John Hinton, I believe is his name. The woman who played Regine, I mean, they're all Kyle, T.C. Carson, all of them did a phenomenal job. But Erica Alexander as Maxine Shaw, iconic, bro. The whole look, the suits with the skirts, the braids coming down with like the long in the front with the short in the back.
The bob,
like, the little braid bob, like listen. I don't think living single is living single without Maxine Shaw, right? Mm-mm. And the funny part is she wasn't even one of the she wasn't even one of like the core people. Like she didn't live in the actual apartment like with Sinclair, Khadijah, and Regine. She was the neighbor across the street. But she was always there. Her role was so great.
It was
that they had to basically make her a main character. Killed it. When you think about a black woman now, like if you meet a black woman today and she says she's a lawyer, your mind for some reason immediately goes to Maxine Shaw.
And a lot of women became lawyers because and Erica Alexander has said that she's had so many women, even if they didn't, end up going to law school, they wanted to be a lawyer because they saw her on Living Single.
Well, that may be true, but that's also, we're gonna get back to that in a second because I got somebody that I think did that even more. Hint, foreshadowing. But before, actually, no, that's actually great because that was my next number. That's the best segue ever. The person who I think embodied that even more than Maxine Shaw, attorney at law, was Claire Huxtable.
Oh, yeah.
Felicia Rashad as Claire Huxtable.
Felicia, yes.
Is probably the best black mother that's ever been cast in the history of television.
Hands down.
You don't think of black mother characters without Claire Huxtable. She is the cream of the crop. She's top tier, whatever phrase you want to use. And you can name all of them, right? You can name Aunt Viv. You can name Miss Winslow. You can name Tashina Arnold. You can name and whatever black mother you want to name. They all can't hold a candle to Claire Huxtable. She's the GOAT. She's the best black mother that's ever been on television. She's got so many iconic parts. She was the first time we saw a really successful black woman, a black mother on TV. She was a lawyer herself. I think a lot of people wanted to become lawyers because of her, even more so than Maxine. But you know, she's some of the most iconic lines that when Vanessa wanted to go have big fun. Right? when she basically cussed out Elvin without cussing him out. The most iconic speech I think ever delivered by a black woman.
She read him up and down and didn't even raise her voice and made him feel like he was this big.
Super talented. She could sing. She could dance. She could dress. She was fine. She made being fine. She still is fine, but she made like being a middle-aged woman.
Made you second guess, like
she was attractive.
Maybe I leave these young girls alone.
You know what I mean? I think a lot of guys started looking for some cougars when the Cosby Show came out. You know? It's like, okay, Miss Huxtable, you know, the best, cream of the crop. You can't find nothing better. We're getting into the top 3 here. We're getting into the top 2 here.
Yeah.
These are some real heavy hitters. Oh no, we are getting to the top 3. She was number 4. Number 3 is Steve Urkel. Jaleel White. Jaleel White. I apologize for going out of order. We were at number 3 now. Okay. Steve Urkel, Jaleel White. I don't think that there's a single show on TV that is more synonymous with a character than Family Matters is with Urkel. He wasn't even in the Winslow family. The show Family Matters is about the Winslow family. he wasn't even in the
cast member. He wasn't going to be a recurring cast member.
Yes, but he did so well that they had to. Not only did they have to make him a main character, but he became the character. The show was basically about Steve when all was said and done.
Show. Yeah, and Stefan.
You can't name a single. Yeah, right. That's how even better. He played 2 characters. That was the same, same guy, but you know, 2 sides of the same coin. I don't think you can name me a single TV show that you think more of with just one character. You identify one character more than you do Urkel with even Full House.
I would say for me, because I watched, because back in the 90s, I know y'all like it's a long time ago. TGI Friday, you had we had the sitcoms, Full House, to me, Uncle Jesse on Full House, and Who's the Boss, Tony Danza.
You can't tell. No, you cannot
but
tell
not
me.
As much as Urkel. Not as much
Thank
as
Urkel.
You. I'm saying in that genre of when you think of a show, same thing with Urkel Alexander. When I think of Living Single, I think of Queen Latifah, and I think of Urkel Alexander. Right, Maxine Shaw. But you're right, Urkel came in.
Took over the whole show.
Episode, and they were like, no, bring him back. And the ratings were out the roof for Family Matters because he was in episodes he wasn't really on. They weren't that good.
There are kids now today who have never seen a single episode of Family Matters, but they know who Steve Urkel is.
Yep.
I mean, he made being a nerd a cool thing to be on TV. You know what I mean?
He had a girlfriend and everything.
Had a girlfriend. Listen, the most thirsty dude in the history of time. He wanted Laura so bad. Boy. I don't even know if it's healthy, but ladies, if you want a man to love you, get somebody like Steve Urkel. Okay?
Nah, that's toxic. He was curving him every episode. He just would not get the hint. He was just like, I still love you. Like,
this man tried for years and years and years. Okay, top 2, cream of the crop. Number 2 is Chandler Bing from Friends. Matthew Perry. Listen, okay. When you think of Friends, obviously there's a lot of favorites, right? People like Rachel, people like Joey, people like Phoebe, whatever, you know what I mean? But listen, the best acting job and the best character from day one, very first episode that made the show go is Chandler Bing. You don't get 10 seasons of Friends. You might not even get past the first 2 or 3 seasons of Friends if Chandler Bing is not on that show. And he was one of the last people that was cast for the show. And he was the one. If you watch interviews for the writers, they had the most trouble finding somebody for Chandler. They wrote the role of Ross for David Schwimmer, so that wasn't hard, right?
Yeah.
Rachel could have been played by a lot of people, and they settled upon Jennifer Aniston, right?
Right.
They already knew they wanted the Phoebe on there. She was on a different show, so they didn't know if they were going to get her at once, but they finally were able to get away where they were on the show. They were having a hard time casting Chandler because it was like a very specific type of person that you needed for that show. And then finally, when the Matthew Perry came in and read for the role, they immediately was like, okay, this is Chandler. Who stop all the auditions.
Yep.
The amount of awkwardness, sarcasticness, insecurity, and comedic timing, improvisational, physical comedy skills, all in one package.
Physical comedy. He was always falling. Him, I say Joey too was physical, but I remember Chandler doing some stuff, and I was like, what is he doing? Like he was always doing something crazy.
Matthew Perry, he made that iconic. When you think of Friends, I think if you're an actual Friends fan, I don't think you can think of Friends without Chandler Bing. That's the cream of the crop. That's as good as it gets. But there's one better.
Mm-hmm.
There's one person that I think is the most iconic TV casting of all time. And rest in peace to my man, James Avery, as Uncle Phil from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Because, listen, when you look, Bill Cosby, whatever you think about him, like or love, probably the first name that you think of when it comes to Black fathers. But if it's not him, it's James Avery.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And nobody. And the thing is, nobody who's ever played an uncle seemed more like our dad than in the history of anything. Forget TV. I think everybody wanted James Avery to be their uncle.
Yes.
Everybody wanted an Uncle Phil.
Yeah, or their father is even better.
Just like, regardless, he was funny.
Mm-hmm.
He could be serious.
Mm-hmm.
Grade A actor. I feel like never had a bad scene. Hilarious.
But
just
he was stern as a character. He was stern,
sentimental, like everything that you could think of when it comes to a Black father figure is embodied in James Avery.
And he had that bag. They had bread.
Oh, and he had bread. And he was rich.
Judge.
He was a judge.
It was legal money.
He was a lawyer first and then became a judge. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I don't think as a Black father figure it gets better than James Avery.
No.
I think he probably did the best job of anybody in the history of time. I don't care what genre it is. I don't care what type of show, white show, Black show, Hispanic show, whatever it is. You find me a person who played a father better than James Avery.
I can't think of any. Like you said, Bill Cosby would be, like you said, like either right underneath for people put him number one. But off the top of my head, even Carl Winslow. Carl Winslow was a great dad.
Carl Winslow was a great dad.
He was a great TV dad, and they dealt with some race stuff on Family Matters too. But when I think of a TV dad, James Avery,
the first
God rest the dead, is the first person that pops in my head. Then Bill Cosby, and then down.
It's either 1 and 2 or 1A and 1B. You know what I mean? Whatever. Like, to me, it's hard to separate them. I could have put Bill Cosby on this list, but honestly, I don't think he didn't really get cast. It was his show. He created the show.
Yeah, so it's kind of like,
I mean? It was they didn't cast him.
Yeah.
Right. They made the show around Bill Cosby. They casted James Avery. You know what I mean? That was probably the best decision that they ever could have made.
I believe he was in theater too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah. The guy was like Shakespearean. Like when I say a trained actor, this guy was. Look, I started the countdown with The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with Carlton, and I'm gonna end it with The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with James Avery. And fun fact, there's only 3 characters on the show that actually appeared in every single episode of The Fresh Prince. Right? Obviously, Will. Uncle Phil, and Hillary. A lot of people don't know that. All 3 of them appeared in literally every single episode. And James Avery just, I think, was the engine that made the whole show go. Obviously, it was about Will. Like Will was the main character,
but they played off each other.
You don't have a show. You don't have a show without James Avery.
Yeah, because he needed Uncle Phil in certain episodes.
Hands down.
Not certain all episodes, but
all episodes.
It's Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, both light skinned. Original Aunt Viv and nice Aunt Viv. But they, as parents, as their characters, Will needed somebody to say, "Hey, you can't do this and you can't do that," and that's what made him better. That's what made the show better, because you had somebody saying, "This is not, you better that you could do X, Y, and Z, or you should go above." And even though Will was reluctant a lot of times, he knew, Uncle Phil was just looking out. But I agree. I think Uncle Phil was that was as far as like this list, your number one is valid. Stamp that. For me,
I challenge you.
Find
somebody better.
I'm starting for 5. I'm starting for 5, right? Because I stopped. Did I do my 6? Yeah, I did my 6. So my number 5 is Christopher Meloni as Elliot Stabler from Law and Order SVU.
I'm not mad at that.
Law and Order SVU. I don't watch it currently, but when I was watching it, Stabler was the character when he was on, because I think he went off, and if people like bring him back, he was the one I loved, because he was that cop that was yoking up the not the suspects, the bad guys. Thank you. The bad guys, like, yo, where's this girl? Or you kidnap somebody, and cops aren't supposed to hit and TV bodies, throw them against the wall, clipping them up, doing the stuff that you would want to do as a person if you caught somebody that hurt your family member or something. And the passion of his character in the show also made the show more enjoyable, because you could tell, and this is of course fiction, but I also think it is true, a lot of officers that are real officers that love their job, you can see that as a character, it really affected him, when they couldn't find somebody, or somebody was kidnapped and the person died, or, like a child was abused. Like, you could see as a character, and that's why I enjoyed watching him as Stabler so much. My number 4 is Julia Dreyfus as Elaine Dennis on Seinfeld. Seinfeld is better than Friends. I'll leave it at that. The people that know, and the people that are delusional.
The people that don't know are the best ones.
The people next to me or above, whatever he is, are delusional, and I am not.
They're the best.
Seinfeld.
Friends is better.
The reason why I love Seinfeld, and for people to say you didn't watch Friends, I did watch Friends. I did not have cable all the time growing up, so I had to watch Friends because that's all it was on TV. But I've seen every episode of Friends. I did enjoy Friends. As a kid, my mother still loves Seinfeld. I didn't understand it. I understood Friends more than Seinfeld, because Friends was more, to me, easy. It was sarcasm, but it wasn't too much. Seinfeld is more dry humor, and a lot of stuff you have to kind of catch and see what's going on to understand. So I didn't really appreciate Seinfeld until I got in like my 20s and 30s. Like, now I watch it like while I'm eating dinner or something. But Elaine Dennis is on the main cast. She's the only female main cast member as a female, and she is phenomenal. Like, every episode, she's physical, she's funny, she's witty, she's beautiful. She's been in other roles as well too. I've seen her in, but when I see her, I think Elaine Dennis. And
Elaine's definitely her most famous.
Oh yeah, playing off of, that's other thing too. She's in a male dominated cast. It's all men, but she's perfect. She's tough when she be tough. She's feminine when she be feminine. And you know how some people will say, "Oh, women aren't funny." Julia Dreyfus is hilarious. So shout out to her because I love her character. My number 3 is Jason Alexander as George Costanza. Now, I agree
with this one.
If you don't watch Seinfeld, you'll be like, "Who is George Costanza?" Google George Costanza. Jason Alexander is, to me, a phenomenal actor, just like Julia Dreyfus. But I cannot see, just like how you said with Urkel, I can't see anyone else being George Costanza. He's short, he's bald, he's going bald, certain episodes.
Glasses,
kind of nerdy looking, not
chubby.
Really like, chubby, no shade, because the chubby George, yeah. But but as far as his character is, like a guy you would never take a second look at, and he's going through, dating and dealing with women. And it's funny because you see, as his character, you see women from a different perspective where he'll see a pretty girl. He's like, I'm not even going to try because this chick's not even going to talk to me. And he would get times where he would talk to a woman and she'd be like, okay, I'll go out with you. And he's like, what? So so many episodes, even the, that's another thing too. I think his name is Jerry Stiller, Ben Stiller's dad, who played Costanza's father. Mr. Costanza, he passed away last year. And the woman who played his mother, I cannot recall her name, but she played Mrs. Costanza. She just passed away last month. So his TV on the TV show, George Costanza's parents are both in real life deceased, but his family on that show to me makes the show. And I love Jerry Seinfeld, but on the show, if there was no
George was funnier than Jerry.
Yes, and see that was the thing. But Jerry allowed him, because of course he's executive producer, but it's like he's allowing him to be himself. But George and Jerry and of course Kramer and then Elaine as a unit, perfect. But George Costanza, nobody's touching George Costanza. So that's my number 3.
I completely agree. If I have if I had to do like 11 through 15, for my top 10, George would have probably been in there. I agree with him.
And he don't even like Seinfeld like that.
I didn't say I didn't like Seinfeld. I like Seinfeld. I just think it's overrated. I think people put it higher than it needs to be.
That's even worse to say I don't like it. It's overrated.
No, it's not because I still like it. I'm still a fan of the show. I'm a fan of George specifically. I think he's the funniest person on the show.
Is he not? Like, he's hilarious.
After that, I don't know if I would have had Elaine on mine. I probably would have put Kramer above Elaine. But
you know why I didn't put Kramer? I did not put Kramer, one, because of his little outburst that he made when he was doing that comedy show. And this was in real life, this is not fiction. His name is Michael Richardson. He was
Michael Richards.
Oh, Richards, sorry, thank you. Michael Richards. He was doing a stand-up, and it was I don't know what happened beforehand, but a black guy said something. I think Michael said something racist, and the black guy said something.
He called him an N-word or something. Yeah,
he called him we can't say on here, but he called him that, and Michael Richards replied back, "In my day, we hung y'all up from trees," and I was like, "Oh!" And this happened after Seinfeld was off the air, but a lot of people, were like, "Hey, you guys, like, gotta stop, rerunning." And I'm not gonna lie, I still watch it, just like I still watch the Cosby Show in loop, in light of what's going on. But I did not put him on the list because of that, because who you are off the screen can overshadow who you. So that's another reason.
I thought about that with Terry Crews, but I was like, I'm gonna leave him.
Well, Terry Crews is just cooning. I can take cooning. I can't take, like Bill Cosby. With him, nah. Even though I will not. This is the thing with that whole situation. I can't take away what he's done to the culture, but I'm not going to choose to highlight him for certain stuff. I can give him his props as as what he's done, but I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to give him a plaque. Like, I can't.
I'm just saying, disclaimer, Bill Cosby technically was never proved guilty. I'm just saying. I'm not touching it. I'm not going to pencil poke. I respect him as, like I said, what Bill Cosby did outside of his activities, whether he's guilty or not, I get it,
has changed the culture, and we would not be where we are as a culture, I feel like, TV wise and movie wise, without the stuff that Bill Cosby did.
Oh, easily. Black TV is the explosion that you got of Black TV in the 90s doesn't happen without the Cosby Show in the 80s.
And you said that before. He specifically did studies and made sure that there was no negative stereotypes of Black people on his show, and he nailed it. Because there's nothing about the Cosby Show that's negative, and there's nothing wrong with, because people are like, well, Black people are not monolithic, and we are not. We are, different. We come from different places. We come from different backgrounds. But for Cosby to specifically say, I don't want any of that. I want a clean show that you could watch with your mom, your dad, your grandparents. There's no cursing. There's no, So you cannot take that away from Cosby, and that's what I'll say. My number 2 is Bryan Cranston as Walter White. Breaking Bad is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Walter White, if you've never seen the show, again, Breaking Bad is about Walter White. During the show, he finds out that he gets diagnosed with cancer, and he's trying to figure out how he's going to make enough money for his family to survive once he dies. They're giving him like 6 months. So he ends up linking up with one of his students, who he finds out is a drug dealer. And the show, I want to say, was at least 4 or 5 seasons. I think it was 4. It's on Netflix right now. But Breaking Bad and Walking Dead is one of my other favorite shows um of all time. But Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston, there's no one else on that show other than Bryan Cranston. Like, it's him.
I can't even name any other characters for
You
real.
can't. Now, I won't say that Pinkman, I can't remember Jesse Pinkman's real name. He was also very pivotal because they played off of each other. But even like his wife on the show, it's like you could have got somebody else to be his wife. You could have got somebody else to be his kid. But Bryan Cranston, excuse me, is also a great actor outside of that. He was on Seinfeld. He's in a lot of different TV shows. He's done guest spots. But in this show, and I would say, if you like dramas, if you enjoy pieces of if you enjoy picking the puzzle and trying to figure out what's going on, this is the show for you, because there's episodes where you have no idea how he's going to get out of something, and somehow he just makes it out, and it's like, how the hell, how the hell did he do that? So that's my number 2. My number 1, which may be controversial, but I don't care. Some said I won't. Is Regina King as Huey Freeman and Riley Freeman. Again, I love the Boondocks. To me, Regina King, again, you don't have to say anything. It's Regina King. Y'all know her accolades, you know what she's been in. But Regina King played or voiceover for 2 different characters. And even though they do, because they're brothers on the show, the characters they do sound a little similar. You know exactly who's who. You know who's Riley and who's Huey. But if you've never seen Boondocks before, you won't really appreciate why I chose this, but you have to watch it, because I didn't even know Regina King was the voice until maybe a year or 2 after the show came out. I thought it was, like a little kid. And then, like, that's Regina King. And I've watched YouTube videos of her doing the voices, and I'm like, how the heck? Like, how is she making
And I knew, like, during the show, I knew
Yeah.
that she was the voice of Riley. But it
Yes.
wasn't until a little bit later that I realized she was also the voice of Huey.
Which are
And
2
I was like,
different
yeah,
voices.
wow.
And if you hear them, like, for me, I can hear a little bit of each, but because they're brothers on the show, so they should, your cadence should kind of be similar. But to me, she knocked it out the park, and I feel like I had to put her as number 1, because the amount of work to do 2 characters and to voice 2 characters and have to, within those characters, answer the other, because Riley and Huey are brothers. They're in almost every scene together. So she had to answer and go back and forth herself. To me, that's tougher than just playing one character. So shout out to Regina King.
I respect that.
Yeah.
See, I'm not mad at that pick at all. I didn't think I didn't even think to go into the cartoons or the voiceovers and different things like that. Or else my list might have been a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But when we put all that, because, and again, we started this off by saying I didn't have a criteria, so she's absolutely within the bounds. And with that, I think that actually is a really, really good pick. I probably wouldn't have had her as in my top 10, but if including cartoons, if I did a list of just cartoons, she'd easily be in the top 5 for real.
And honorable mention for me, which I've never seen the show, but I've heard all great things, and she's won several awards for it, is Viola Davis as Annalisa Keating in How to Get Away with Murder. I have heard so many awesome things about the show. I just haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it, but Viola Davis is amazing. Another one that I was going to pick, that I think I scratched out on my original list, and that was you took it, Pam, Tashina Arnold.
Okay.
Because when you said, I'm like, dang, you stole it, because she was one.
I mean, look, we could go through this list all day long. Everybody, I hope you really appreciated our top 10s.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of honorable mentions where we could have got to. Honestly, both Michael Scott and Dwight Schrute from The Office.
Pause. I did not put Michael Scott because I knew you was going to put it because you love The Office. And something told me, no, just put it and we'll see. Because I said he's going to pick him, so I'm not going to put him. I didn't want to waste my 10, so I was like,
I didn't even think about it until after I made the list, and I already put the list together. I was like, you know what? I love The Office. Everybody out there knows I love The Office. Yeah. Both of them were honestly they're top tier. They at least one of them probably should have made my list if I had to go back and redo it. But they'd both probably be 11 and 12. George Costanza would definitely be on there. Kadeem Hardison that played Dwayne Wayne on A Different World would have probably been there. I think he was an excellent choice. Him and Jasmine Guy, I think both played their roles really well. We can do this honestly, like I said, all day. We got to limit to 10, right? So if we're gonna do 10, we got to say that. I told you earlier we could have done Cole from Friday. I mean not Friday from Martin. Mm-hmm. This I almost thought about doing Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell.
Damn.
You know what I mean?
Wow, I forget about Zach. Okay,
there's
Zach
so
was
many
my
great
crush
characters.
when I was a little girl. This is a fun fact about me. When I was a little kid, I had a Zach Morris puzzle. This was 1993 or 4. I had a Zach Morris puzzle, and I used to put it together, take it apart, so Zach Morris was my big.
But listen, everybody at home, comment. Tell us who you think we missed. Who's your honorable mentions that you think should have been on there? I got a bunch more I haven't even named. But maybe we'll save that for another episode. So put it in the comments below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We'll be trying to do this again more regularly. Go and back and watch all our previous episodes if you haven't seen them. I promise you will be entertained. Some really good content on there that we've made for y'all over the years. But other than that, her name is Mickey. All right. Her name is Mickey. My name is Travis. This is the Good and Terrible Show. We hope you guys have a phenomenal day.